Hello knitters, hello Strickmich Club members. Welcome to the second virtual Cast-on Event of Strickmich Club 2020. My name is Martina Behm, I'm a knitwear designer. Strickmich, which means knit me in German, is my brand, and Strickmich Club is a subscription for 4 new patterns by me, plus exclusively dyed matching yarn. And today my husband Peter is joining us. Hello Peter.
Hi.
So you also work for Strickmich Club, so what do you do for us?
Well, I'm basically taking care of everything that's not creative. So trying to get the perfect yarn for you, getting it to us, and then making sure that we package it and ship it to you in time.
Yeah, so he has a very crucial role. Without him, nobody would get their yarn. So, so I'm really glad that you're working with us. Yeah, these are very special circumstances. We are hosting only a virtual cast-on event and no live cast-on event. Usually we invite knitters to come here to Darmsdorf in the north of Germany to celebrate the club shipments with us. I unbox the shipment and we look at the yarn, and I usually, if the dyer can make it, interview the dyer here on stage. But that's all not possible due to the restrictions during the corona pandemic. And we had actually planned to just host a virtual cast-on event so that everyone could be in front of their screens at home, and we would still be able to have the yarn and the pattern and to knit together. But just a couple of weeks ago, we decided, or we saw, that this was really hard this year and that it wouldn't be possible to ship the packages. So yeah, we had lots of discussions about that, but we decided against it. And maybe you can tell us more about the reasons.
Sure. Mainly the whole postal system, the way packages get shipped all over the world is really disturbed by the coronavirus. And so, for example, in Germany, we cannot ship today to the United States because the United States does not accept packages from Germany or from Europe. And even countries in Europe, in some areas, you have areas where there is no post delivery. And then the German post tells us, well, we are not accepting your package because we cannot forward it to the country.
Yeah, and we have had that experience in Strickmich shop.
Exactly.
Our shop where we send yarn to people. It's just an online shop where we have my patterns and my books and yarn. And a couple of weeks ago that happened in Strickmich Club, that the packages were coming back.
So basically then in Frankfurt, they say, well, there's a package to the United States, and they put a stamp on and send it back to us and say, well, we're not taking it. And we didn't want to risk that for your yarn. And there was even stories about packages getting lost within Europe, within Germany even. And so to have your precious exclusive yarn being lost in the transport would be just too risky as well.
Yeah, because it's hand-dyed and exclusive, and we can't really replace the yarn if it gets lost. So that was just too risky. And also we thought that Strickmich Club is a community, and it's an experience by knitters all over the world that they are knitting the same projects at the same time. So we decided against sending the packages just to our German members and to delaying only the ones that are outside Europe. We thought that the club has to remain the club, and we want everyone to enjoy the club experience at the same time. So we delayed the package. The second shipment, it's only delayed. Everything's ready here. We have the yarn, we have the pattern, and as soon as the restrictions are lifted, we will be able to ship because we have done our work. It's just the shipping that doesn't work at the moment. Yeah, and we are working very hard, and we are optimistic that we will be able to send out all 3 remaining Strickmich Club installments to you in the course of the year.
Definitely.
Yeah. But we also know that knitting during these hard times is really, really important. It's important to me. It's so soothing, and it's something that, it is something that gives me comfort, and that I always know what to do and what is the next step. And in times like these, knitting is really important. And that's also what many of you have written to us, that they really need their Strickmich Club patterns and projects because it's something to look forward to and something that makes the situation a little better. So we thought, well, we may not be able to ship physical things, but we are able to send you a digital knitting pattern, an exclusive one that is just for our club members and that will stay exclusive to you during the next 6 months. Yeah, and I have chosen a yarn that is available on both sides of the pond for my sample. It's the beautiful Yummy 2-ply by American hand dyer Miss Babs. Many of you will already know her because she had dyed an exclusive yarn for us in 2017, and she actually came here to Germany to be here at our Cast-on event. Yeah, and she can ship within the United States, and we also have this beautiful yarn here in Strickmich shop if you live in Europe. So you can use that, or you can use any hand-dyed yarn or any yarn, maybe also just with a gradient assortment of colors, color changing yarn. You can use anything you like in any weight to make the design that I have created for you now. So let's have a look at it. It's this. It's a hitchhiker shape that starts with lots of garter stitch, and then you have this fun buttonhole pattern. I used Elizabeth Zimmerman's buttonhole technique, and that's very suitable because this pattern is called Hope and Confidence, after Elizabeth Zimmerman's quote, "Knit on with confidence and hope through all crises." Yeah, I thought that was fitting because everyone needs confidence and hope right now. And you can just knit until your yarn runs out. And you can make it bigger or smaller, just as you please. I have used 1 skein of Yummy 2-ply for this. And as I said, you can use anything that you like, anything that lives in your stash. And it's a fun knit and it's a cute little project. Yeah, and I hope you will have fun knitting it. But before you knit it, you will have to get the pattern. And here is the expert who knows how you will get the pattern.
Well, the pattern, of course, will be a PDF file. And we were thinking briefly of just sending it to you as an attachment to an email. However, that creates a lot of problems for some people where attachments get filtered out or not delivered into their mailbox. So we decided that you can download it in your Strickmich Club customer account on our webpage www.strickmich-club.de. But the link is also in the email that I sent to you today. And basically what you're doing is you're buying a pattern there, which is 1 cent. It costs 1 cent. However, you don't have to pay it. It's just that our shop doesn't accept 0 as a value for a product. So you basically just put the pattern in the desired language into your shopping cart, check out using a bank transfer, that's important. And then as soon as you send it off, as soon as you buy the pattern, you will find it in your customer account there without having to pay anything.
Okay, so you don't have to bother sending us 1 cent. It's that's just a formality. You don't have to pay anything. Please don't choose PayPal, choose bank transfer. Mm-hmm. And what's also important, this is the Strickmich Club website. It's not Strickmich shop. If you have maybe shopped at our online store before, you will know www.strickmich-shop.de. But this is the other website. This is the website where you signed up for Strickmich Club. And if you use the link that's in the email, you will be fine and you will be in the right place.
Exactly. And one other thing is you actually have to log into your account first in order to even see the pattern, because we don't want this pattern to be out there and that people can see it who are not in the club. So basically you have to log in first and then you'll be able to see it and buy it for, yeah.
Yeah, it's a secret pattern for everyone who's not in Strickmich Club. Yeah. And there's also something else in the email.
Exactly. So we've talked to Miss Babs, and she also said that we could give a goodie to our club members. So for your next purchase in either Miss Babs's store or in our Strickmich minus shop, now it's the shop, you can get 10% off any purchase, any product you buy for one order. And the coupon codes, both for Miss Babs and for our shop, are also in the email that I sent to you.
Yeah, and they are valid for 4 weeks, I think.
4 weeks, exactly. But it's all in the email. Yeah.
So if you decide you want to get the yarn that I used for my sample, you are getting a good deal no matter where you live.
Exactly.
Yeah. I hope that you will have fun knitting, that you will knit yourself some hope and confidence, and that we will see each other again really soon. I'm very optimistic that we will be able to do everything we did before the crisis really soon, that we will be able to visit fiber festivals and that we also will have cast-on events here at our house again. Yeah, and until then, we do what we knitters do best. We just stay home and knit. So, happy knitting.
Happy knitting.
And maybe if you like, you can watch my interview with Miss Babs that I did a couple of days ago, because yeah, it wouldn't be a real cast-on event if I wouldn't have an interview with the dyer here. So please watch my video with Miss Babs. We talk about the situation for knitters and hand dyers, and we of course talk about the pattern. And yeah, we hope you have lots of fun watching it, and yeah, happy knitting. So, hello, Miss Babs from the United States. I'm so glad that you are joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, and it's so good to see you, Martina.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure to have you and to be working with you and your yarn again. You know, we are talking under very special circumstances. We couldn't ship our shipment to our Strickmich Club members. So I thought it would be a great idea to have a new design with a yarn that's available on both sides of the pond, like in our shop and in your shop. And that's also suitable for any hand-dyed yarn you might have in your stash. So yeah, I'm really glad that this worked out. And you are not new to Strickmich Club. Our members already know you. Maybe you could just tell us what your connection with Strickmich and with Strickmich Club is.
Oh my gosh. I was talking to my to Helen before we got started, and I was thinking, my gosh, I think we've been working with you since 2009 or something like that, or 2010, whenever Hitchhiker first came out. And we contacted you to ask you if we could sell the pattern in the US at shows that we went to. And that was the beginning. And we have utilized your patterns, and we've talked to you over the years, and we've collaborated on things together and joined with you on your the Strict Planner. And it's all been beneficial. It's been a great collaboration.
Yeah. And I was especially proud and so flattered when you actually came here, when you were a dyer for Strickmich Club. It's absolutely sensational that you came here and I could interview you here live on stage, because I think it was in 2018, you were the dyer of one of the shipments for Strickmich Club. And it was the first time ever that we actually delayed the cast-on event for a week, because we had planned to have it on the Thanksgiving weekend, which for an American is something that you can't really miss. So we delayed it for 1 week, and you came here and you were here on stage, and we had such a good time, and it was just amazing to have you here. So thank you for that as well.
Yeah, that was a great trip. I had never been to Germany before, and I came with Veronica, who has worked with me for about 10 years, and we did a little trip before that. We went over to Amsterdam, and then we came back over and spent about 3 days in your area, neck of the woods, as we would say here, and had a great time. And even though it was November, it was still a great time, and the weather wasn't horrible. So that was, well, it's
November is not very pretty around here. Yeah, so you were lucky if you still liked it. Then I'm glad. Right. Yeah. And yeah, I've been working with your yarn for many years as well. I remember when I had just come out with the Hitchhiker, then you asked me to design something for your club, and you designed you dyed the Berlin colorway. And I designed the brickless. Yeah, you have it there. Yeah, very clever. Yeah.
Have it in 2-ply. I don't have any in Yowza right now, but you designed it in the Yowza.
Yes, yeah.
And I have one that I have a brickless that is knit in another colorway, but it's, gosh, this has been a popular pattern.
Yes, it has. I think after the Hitchhiker, it's my second most popular pattern, and it's a collaboration with you. So yeah, so I'm also I'm also always happy to work with you. So let's talk about the current situation. I mean, I already said it's a special situation for everyone. How has it been for you? I mean, you have been going to yarn shows, and many of them have been canceled. And I don't know, how has it been in your dyeing studio? Please tell us how it's been.
Like for everyone, at the beginning of all of this, it was sort of scary, weird. We didn't know what to expect. And in fact, we had gone to a show out in California in February when things were starting to, the disease was starting to come over here. And actually, there had been cases in the county where the show was. We got back home towards the end of February, and then things really started changing. And, like everybody else, just trying to sort out what you're supposed to do and and like everyone, we were, how are we going to make it through financially? And I knew for myself that I wanted to make sure that we got through at least the spring. And so I have been able to keep all of my employees. We have significantly, for all of April, we significantly downsized to 6 or less people. I have close to 8,000 square feet. So it's easy to social distance in that much space. A couple of weeks ago, brought it back up to about 10 people. In real time, we normally have about 15. So I'm keeping it right now between 10 and 11 people. We clean, we do things, we are shipping regularly. We've changed a few things that we do in terms of, some services we're not providing right at this precise moment because we just don't have enough manpower in the studio to do it. I think I'm no different than lots of other people that are just trying to figure out what to do in the next week. And So that's sort of where we are right now.
How is the general feeling in the US? It's like for us in Europe, I mean, we have seen how it was in Italy, and we have seen the pictures from other countries. And here in Germany, we have been really lucky that our hospitals they're actually empty. They had to close down many things in the hospitals, so actually they had to partially lay off people and send them home because they didn't have as much work to do as they used to. I'm pretty worried about what I see when I watch the news about New York and the United States.
Yeah, I think, the difficulty here is that the US is so big that the area where I live, there've been maybe 5 cases with no deaths. And over in the next state, the area closest to us have had very few cases and no deaths. So it's sort of regional as to what the situation is. And so part of people in this area seem to be less concerned, but are also unwilling to travel to some of the areas where there is a lot of cases. I think there's just sort of a mixed bag of what's going on here in the US. And I read the news too, and but I'm also staying home. When I'm not at work, I'm at home for the most part.
Your private life has also changed. Have you been going out a lot before and going to restaurants and meeting friends? And how is that?
Not much. It's a half hour, 45 minutes to any place. I mean, we have some restaurants here, but I just, I'm not a highly social person, in that way. Yeah, I don't know. It's,
yeah, it's probably the same as for us. We're also living in the countryside, and like the distancing thing is really easy for us because like the next supermarket is 10 kilometers away, and we tend to stay in our house and just walk the dog and do everything here at our house anyway, because like our little office is also here and we do the shipping here. So yeah, I can totally relate. I know what you mean.
Yeah, and I've always done all of my own cooking. So, I'm not one of those people who eats out a lot. So
yeah, we don't have to worry about you. You won't starve where you are. That's great. So what about the live verknitters in the US and the live for hand dyers? How has it changed during the past weeks?
Okay, so part of what we're seeing is that people seem to have been buying larger projects because they have more time available. Some of them have been more complex. Some of them have not been significantly more complex, but have just been maybe a little larger than they would normally take on. We had a virtual show with Maryland Sheep and Wool, and that actually was pretty good for a lot of people. And apparently the Maryland Sheep and Wool website actually crashed that day. So there was a lot of activity. We had a lot of activity, and it was a good show for us. This weekend, we're actually also involved with Vogue BKL Live virtual, and we're doing a Zoom meeting with them later today. That we did an episode the other day, and it was good. This is new for me, learning how to talk comfortably in front of people without an audience, without seeing any feedback, except obviously with you, Martina. And so it's just a new thing. But I think many of us are moving into that and have moved into that. Many of your viewers, our customers, are doing this with their work all the time. I use Zoom in my work. I have an employee that lives on the other side of the United States, and so we meet with her via Zoom. So it's just sort of natural. I think at the beginning, dyers did a lot of discounting in an attempt to try to make sure that people were buying. But I think that has sort of backed off some as people have been willing to shop. And, this is a time when people can go back to knitting that haven't been knitting for a while because they simply have the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think is happening in Germany too. Like, there are so many things that you can't do at the moment, but knitting is so flexible and you can do it anywhere and you don't need much to start something. And it can be very soothing, and it can give you a sense of accomplishment, and you can learn something, and you can also connect through online connections. So I think, yeah, also here in Germany, we are learning a lot about video conferencing. It hasn't been very popular here because you can basically go anywhere within one day. So people have been traveling all the time and taking a plane and taking the train and driving. And now through this Zoom conferencing and video conferencing, we have really learned to do that. I think you have been doing more of that in the US because the distances are much bigger than here. So yeah, we are learning. And yeah, for us, it's been like, as we are an online business, in the beginning, everything was just as it had been before. But since shipping to the US has ceased, suddenly DHL and the German Post said they couldn't send anything to the US anymore. I think it has on one hand to do with the diminished capacity of flights, because there are not as many flights, international flights, and they can't take as much on as they did before. Yeah, and on the other hand, it might be some security issues. So I don't really know, but we have the information that we can't send anything anywhere except within Germany, and there are even restrictions within Europe. So that is like the main thing that has really changed for us. And we can't hold our live events here, which makes us sad, but we hope that we will be able to connect with all the Strickmich Club members through this video. And we're also going to do other things that we will all connect and still knit together.
Right. Yeah, it is difficult. I mean, the lack of physical touch and being able, but that's the benefit of Zoom, is that you can actually look in somebody's eyes and, and see the nod and all of that. And that's really important to that human feedback.
Yeah. So what have you been knitting lately?
Oh, Lordy. Socks. Frankly, because they're super simple. This is just a sock, and I can pick it up and I know exactly where I am when I'm picking it up, and I don't have to think about it because I've knit so many pairs of socks over the years.
Yeah, that's really comforting. I mean, when you feel like everything in the world is doing something that you can't control, you can still take out your knitting, you know exactly what to do, and you know what it's going to look like. So yeah, I enjoy that very much too.
So I'm looking forward to knitting that new pattern of yours.
Yeah, so yeah, let me show you.
So nice.
It's a hitchhiker shape. It's like this bias shawl, and I used this beautiful color because I just like it so much. It's called Zombie Prom. I had some other colors that were even more bold and more fun, but I was somehow drawn to this one. And I added this buttonhole pattern. And the buttonholes, they are made with Elizabeth Zimmerman's buttonhole technique. And the pattern is called Hope and Confidence, because I think that's what we need now. And one of my favorite quotes from Elizabeth Zimmerman is knit on with confidence and hope through all crises. And many people have interpreted this quote only in terms of knitting crises, because in knitting you also have difficulties and you run out of yarn and you make mistakes and you have to knit through these crises. But I think that Elizabeth might also have had some other crisis in mind, because like she was an immigrant to the US and she has also had some hard times, and she has had kids, and you always have some hard times with kids. So I think that this quote fits very well now. So we should all knit on with confidence and hope also through this crisis. And I used the yarn-based Yummy 2-ply, which we also carry in Strickmich shop, which is really one of my favorites because it has this pearly surface and this and it's just so soft and so nice, and all these gorgeous colors. So, but maybe you could say something about this yarn base and what's so special about it and why everyone should knit with it.
Right. So you actually hit exactly the point of why, one of the reasons why I really love this yarn. And so it's a 2-ply and it is a relatively tight twist. And the way it over connects is that there's a bump and then a valley in between. And the color is different at the top of the bump and then valley. And so if you really look at it, it's really an interesting yarn. It's actually this base. It's been the basis of my business since probably 2006. I love it. And it takes color beautifully. It is a superwash, so it does really vibrant colors. You can't always get quite as vibrant a color with the non-superwash. And it's easy to use, easy to knit with, and it's good for lots of different projects.
Yeah, I have only been knitting shawls with it. I have made the Miss Winkle pattern that is also a hitchhiker shape with the little doops on one of the edges. And I have done the Strickmich Club pattern with your yarn with the Ziggy Stardust colorway. Oh yeah, you have it there. That's great. Yeah, that's such a spectacular colorway. Yeah, and that had a little lightning zigzag on it.
Right.
And I just love to wear the shawls that I make. I always wear my samples. I know that as a designer you are not supposed to do that, but with the Yummy 2-ply, I always do it. So yeah. So after after some time, then people have to deal with my worn samples. But I have to say the Miss Winkle that I made out of the Yummy 2-ply, it looks just as new, although I have been wearing it quite a lot, and I have made it, I don't know, in 2012 or 2013, and it still looks like on the first day. And I have just washed it and blocked it today because we are going to use it for a new photo shoot for a new big project, which I'm not really going to talk about right now, but the Miss Winkle is going to be in it. So yeah. Tell us a little bit about your dyeing style, because I think it's very easy to recognize your yarns when I see a skein of hand-dyed yarn, I am very likely to know which one is by Miss Babs and which one isn't. And maybe how you have developed this style of dyeing.
I have a few styles. One is the tonal monochromatic colors, and I tend to, this is muslin. I mean, it's not, you know, it's a plain color, but it has highs and lows, and it's dyed on a table, and I have people who do that. But my hand painted yarns like this and like this, which is also this, I have a number of ways that I do it, but I think part of what you're recognizing is my color combining.
Yes. Yeah.
And I can't necessarily explain it, except that I somehow, it's sort of in my brain to do combinations. I try to avoid straight on primary colors. I like things that are a little off kilter from that. And I also try to include a color in a colorway that will provide a rest point for the eye. So with Berlin, there's a black background in the pot with the yarn already. So that creates a continuity, and it creates a visual rest spot. And I think that's probably part of it. I like things that match. And so I try to find things that visually work together in that way. This is a speckled yarn, and it doesn't have a lot of different colors in it. And what I like about it is that it will work as a tonal, you know, sort of an even single color, or it can be used as a variegated. And so I like that. I think it's probably mostly how I combine colors.
Yeah, that's probably it. I mean, the colors, they are often very, very, very fun and very variegated, but they're still somehow in harmony, and you can guess what the idea has been behind it. So yeah, I hope that we are all going to knit ourselves some hope and confidence for the next couple of months. I hope that we will all get through this well, and that there will be lots of knitting and lots of knitting shows and knitting events in the future, and that we will be able to see each other in person and enjoy our knitting. And until then, we will just do our thing at home. I have read somewhere that this quarantine situation is what knitters have been training for all their lives. Because we know how to entertain ourselves with very little. And so thank you so much for talking to me and for entertaining our Strickmich Club members.
And thank you for inviting me and using my yarn to design your pattern.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. So all the best to you and to your staff, and see you soon.
Okay. Take care, Martina.